Okay, so what I'm going to show you in this video is just a quick explanation of how we can display PImages, or just regular old images, in our processing sketch. So what we need to do is start with just a regular setup and draw loop. And what I'm going to use to show you how this works is simply the PImage reference from processing.org. And it's going to be essentially the same thing that you see here. So in this PImage reference, you'll notice that there is a new data type we're going to care about, which is called PImage, with both the P and the I capitalized there. So we're going to create a new variable of the PImage data type. So I'll call it the photo. And in my setup, of course, I need to create the size of our sketch. So we'll do 600 by 600. And then I need to instantiate the photo. And by that, I mean I'm going to call this here the same sort of thing where I called load image, and I give it the location of the, or rather the file name of the image I'm trying to load. So in my case, I Googled a cat image like this previously, and it showed up here. So I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to drag it onto my file, or onto my processing sketch rather. And you'll notice down here it says one file added to the sketch. And just a reminder, what I can do to find out what the file name is I can go to Sketch and Show Sketch Folder. And then the thing I just dragged in is going to show up inside the data folder. And I'm just going to rename this to be cat.png. So now what I should be able to do is inside my setup, I should be able to call the photo equals load image and pass in cat.png, the name of that file. And what you're going to notice there is that that essentially is just telling us to instantiate the photo. This load image needs to occur inside of setup. And the reason for that is that that's when it's loading the image from the disk. So if you did that inside draw and it happens over and over and over again, then it's going to be terrible on your performance. So what we'll do is go to the draw loop now. I'm just going to draw a white background like that. And then we want to display this photo. And if you look back to the reference, the way to do that is to call the image function, pass it the name of the PImage you want to show, and then give it an X and a Y coordinate. And if you want more information on that, you can just go to the processing reference for the image function itself. And you'll notice that there's two options here, really. So this is the one that you just saw, where you pass in an X and a Y coordinate. The other option is to pass in a third and a fourth argument here, or rather fourth and fifth, and that would give you the width and the height. So you can also adjust the size of the thing if you want to. So let's start by just calling image, and we'll pass in the photo and give it some location. And we'll just start with 0, 0. And if I run that, what we should see is a cat like that. So worked out just great. There it is. Now, of course, this 0, 0, as we said, is the X and the Y value. So we could change this to be, say, mouse X, mouse Y, in which case now that cat is going to move around as my cursor does. Notice that it's doing that according to the top left part of my screen, or rather top left part of the image, and that's just because of the image mode of that. So if we just change the image mode to center, what's going to happen now is the center of that image is where my cursor will be, where the X and Y values are. So the last thing I'll show you is how to adjust the size of the image. So if we made another variable, and I'll just call it scalar, and we give it some value, and we'll make it really obvious here. I'll say, let's set the scalar to be like 0.25. So in other words, I'm going to scale the image to be 25% of what it used to be. And then inside my image here, I just need to pass in two more arguments, the width and the height. And I don't want to have to like calculate that. I want the computer to do it for me. So I'm just going to say access the photo dot width and just multiply that by my scalar. So really I'm just taking whatever the width was, multiplied by 0.25 to get 25% of it, and then do the same thing with the height. So the photo dot height multiplied by my scalar, and what I get now is a cat that is 25% of the size that it used to be, and this can be adjusted to whatever you want. So half the size, for example, now looks like this, etc., etc. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of how to display simple image in processing.